Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. I'm Aisha, your host. In our series, Bridging World Religions, let's sit down with Dr. Shabir Ally to learn about the religions of China and Japan. How are they similar to the teachings of Islam? Join me to explore what we can appreciate about these religions. Welcome to the show, Dr. Shabir.
Pleasure to be on.
So what can we appreciate about the religions of China and Japan?
Many things. These three religions have a lot of interpenetration, especially since we have, for example, Shinto being influenced by Taoism and Confucianism from China, and also the three religions together are influenced by Buddhism. One of the key elements we find in all of these religions is the idea of harmony, and they're expressed differently in Shinto and in Confucianism and Taoism, and also later on in Buddhism. We'll have more of a chance to discuss Buddhism in detail when we deal with the religions of India, but for now, the Shinto is the religion that is indigenous to Japan. It has about 100 million followers, mostly in Japan. It so happens that even when a Japanese person leaves Japan, often the religion doesn't travel with the person, it remains in Japan. It's very much concerned with Japan as a country.
So you mean when people leave, they don't necessarily
leave with the religion? No.
Okay.
Yeah, so the religion is basically practiced in Japan.
I see,
and
okay.
hardly anywhere else. Largely because the mythology that goes with it about, it's very much connected. For example, it says that Izanagi and Izanami mated, the two gods, and then she became pregnant and gave birth to the islands of Japan. But speaking about what we appreciate about the religions, there is the idea of harmony. It's like the human being has to be in harmony with himself, herself, with family, with society, with the way of the cosmos, something of this nature. So that's one thing to appreciate. Second, there is the idea of faith, or saving faith. If you do something dishonorable, then you have obviously put yourself in a position of shame. This can, of course, be taken to an extreme, to the extent that a person may be driven to such extremes of shame that the only way out is to commit suicide in the end. But if we leave the extreme aside and we just think of the basic principle, there is a hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, says that if you feel no shame, then do whatever you like. The idea being that a good dose of shyness or bashfulness or hesitation to do something evil in public, that helps you actually to remain on the right path. So a good dose, but not too extreme. The third element that I find in Shinto practice that is something Muslims can appreciate is devotion to family. And of course, we know that family is very much important in the Islamic ethos.
And all of these principles are just not just specific to the Islamic principles, but also other religions, right? In terms of harmony, being respectful, family.
That's right. And when we go to the religions of China, leaving Japan for the moment now, we come across two principal religions, and we find many of the same sorts of codes and ethics and moral principles in play. In Taoism, the idea of the complement between things is firm, in that there is, the yin-yang symbol, the idea that there is an interpenetration of feminine and masculine characteristics. So the feminine is associated with that which is dark, moist, soft, cold, whereas the masculine principle is said to be associated with light, with things that are dry, hard, and warm. And it's said that everything has a combination of these two elements, and you have to see this interpenetration of the two elements and to appreciate things as they are, these balance of forces. But you also have to become part of what is referred to as the Tao. It's hard to explain this. It's not easily definable, but this is thought to be something that, the most major cosmic principle that you can imagine. And the best one can do is try to become in harmony with that great Tao, the way, you might say, the way of the universe.
So how do we appreciate that from the...
Well, from an Islamic point of view, maybe it's easier to appreciate based on, if we think of a story that illustrates how this Tao works. It says that the story goes that there was this man who had a son, and he was worried that his son would be conscripted into the army. But then he had some horses, and once he went to, his horse went missing. Then he found his horse, but he also found some wild horses, and so he was celebrating that he got a windfall gain. But while his neighbors were very much elated by this, he said, well, something to the extent that who knows what is good and what is bad. Though he gained something, he was not celebrating that too much. But then his son rode one of the horses, and one of the wild ones, and fell down and broke his leg. So his neighbors came in and commiserated with him, but he said, who knows what is good and what is bad. But then when the army came to conscript his son, they left his son alone because he had the broken leg.
Oh, interesting.
And then he said in the end, well, who knows what is good and what is bad. Well, in a way, this reflects a certain Muslim attitude which can be taken to an extreme, but in a good spirit. That Muslim attitude says that whatever happens is by the will of God, and I just simply accept it and I move on. So no need to cry over spilt milk. We just accept things as they are, as being all part of God's plan. As I said, this can be taken to an extreme and lead to fatalism, which we must avoid at all costs. But in a healthy dose, this is a good thing and helps people to stay calm, right? And be part of that Tao, as the Chinese would put it. What remains for us now is to look at the
last religion.
Which is Confucianism. Confucianism is an ancient religion, started out in what is referred to as the Axial Age, about the 6th century BC. We have the birth of Confucius, who is known as Confucius in the West. And he's reported to have said that his religion is not actually his own making, but it is from heaven. But the traces of that divine origin are very slim. And his religion is known more so for its ethical principles, though some people later on have taken Confucius himself as an object of worship. But he tried to instill in the minds of the Chinese people that it is not only the elite and the rulership that can have like a cultivated sense of behavior and ethics, but this can be trickled down all the way down to the common people. Everyone can develop this way of gentlemanliness and proper behavior. So he defined what would be proper behavior in terms of many different relationships, proper behavior between husband and wife, between ruler and subject, between older brother and younger brother, between brother and friend.
So it wasn't about status.
No, in fact, some people have used this, used the religious principles to justify their status and to justify their leadership in a political sense. But Confucius was trying to get everyone to have the right behavior so that, again, we can have harmony. This is the way of achieving harmony, the same harmony we've talked about when we talk about Shintoism and Taoism, but now it is to be achieved through the specific way of filial piety, how you are to behave towards your parents, and respect for elders and ancestors.
It also reminds me of concepts of humility as well.
Yes, humility. And these are principles that are very much dear to Muslims, the respect for parents. Again, these two can be taken to extremes, but in a moderate way, having respect for and obeying parents. These are good virtues that are cultivated in the Islamic ethos as well.
And are these principles still practiced very much today in Japan and China?
These religions have suffered much throughout their history, and in modern times, many continue to adhere to some of the most basic principles and rituals of the religions, but the religions are basically in a kind of a waning stage. As for the Shinto religion, it was thought for a long time that the Japanese emperor was the son of the sun god, Amaterasu, but in 1945, the Emperor Hirohito at the time publicly declared that he's not the son of God, not the son of the sun god. And so from that period on, the Shinto religion took a different turn. In the other religions too have been affected by the influx of Buddhism into the region, and we'll have a chance to talk about that in more detail. but also from modernism. In China, communism became almost like a state religion, and that meant to a certain extent the lessening of the influence of the two religions, two great religions in that country.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.